Hey, welcome back to Recently Played. We got another fun episode in store for you. Today I'll be giving you my honest thoughts, feelings, and opinions on How You Like That by BLACKPINK. Let's get into it. So before I get into my thoughts on How You Like That, the first single from BLACKPINK in over a year, which in K-pop time is quite a while, I think it's important that I describe my feelings and thoughts towards BLACKPINK first. If K-pop is a reflection of Western pop music on steroids, then BLACKPINK embodies some of the most superficial aspects of pop music on steroids. BLACKPINK is all flash and no substance. BLACKPINK is unapologetic schlock. BLACKPINK is willing to use whatever is necessary to get to the top. There's so many reasons to dislike BLACKPINK. It's easy to just write them off as overindulgent commercialized nonsense. But for me, once I accepted BLACKPINK for the guilty pleasure that they are, I ended up genuinely having fun listening to their 2018 album, BLACKPINK in Your Area. All things considered, I thought that the shallow, plasticky 32-minute release had some pretty memorable moments on it. In particular, I thought that Forever Young, Really, and See You Later hit pretty hard. So I said that it's quite easy to just write off BLACKPINK as being artificial garbage, but I want to be clear that I'm gonna be judging How You Like That as a BLACKPINK song as well as, well, a song. So first, let's establish what makes a good BLACKPINK song. So I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, but BLACKPINK's music is and always has been obnoxious. And I think that they excel when they channel that energy into being badass and in your face. So I would say that heavy, satisfying drops are quite integral to any successful BLACKPINK song. BLACKPINK songs are disjointed and comprised of these heavily contrasting elements. For example, we'll get these heavy and at times almost suffocating verses that will suddenly cut to a poppy and melodramatic chorus. Of course, this kind of gimmick is nothing new. It's a technique that metal bands have been using for years. But I'll admit that when BLACKPINK does it right, the result is pretty good. BLACKPINK displays a shallow interpretation of American rap music without bringing very much to the table. I'm not quite sure exactly what about this makes for good music. I think it's worth noting that Jennie and Lisa's rapping sounds significantly less goofy when in Korean and Japanese than in English, but still, goofy rapping is part of what makes BLACKPINK BLACKPINK. But above all, what I enjoy most about BLACKPINK is the sense of identity that I get from them when listening to their music. That somehow they manage to be unique in their active quest to not be unique at all. They are so unafraid to indulge in trendy gimmicks that they kind of just become their own thing. And while it is worth noting that a South Korean pop group that isn't BTS managed to take the world by storm in a relatively short amount of time, we have to ask ourselves, is BLACKPINK sustainable? It's a question that I've asked myself many times. Similar to how Lil Nas X will likely never see the success of Old Town Road again in his career, 2018 had me wondering what lies ahead for BLACKPINK. And that's why 2019's Kill This Love had me pleasantly surprised. I thought that they managed to take everything that I liked about BLACKPINK and spin it a little differently. Judging it as a BLACKPINK song, I would say that Kill This Love definitely met the standards of any of their strongest work. It was just different enough to make it seem like they actually had a shot at keeping this thing going. And that brings us to 2020. So it's been well over a year since the release of Kill This Love, and still nothing new from BLACKPINK. And I can say that during this time, my interest in them had definitely started to wane. In other genres of music, this is totally normal, but by K-pop standards, it's an embarrassingly long amount of time, especially when we consider that since their debut in 2016, they really haven't released very much music to begin with. And it's even more embarrassing that after all of the time that they had to rethink their creative direction, the best that they could come up with is How You Like That. So without further ado, what do I think of How You Like That? So first impression, it's a fun track, and sure, it hits pretty hard. If I was out at a bar or a party and had a few drinks in me, yeah, I'd have a good time listening to it. However, after a few listens with a clear mind, this track has made it apparent that BLACKPINK has run out of steam. How You Like That sounds like BLACKPINK is trying with all of their strength to squeeze just a little more toothpaste out of an empty tube. They desperately return to all of the same tired gimmicks and tropes in an attempt to slap together another BLACKPINK song. It's such a cheap imitation of their own music. It sounds like the same thing, but this time incredibly boring. BLACKPINK songs are known for having these quick, shocking transitions between contrasting sections. But How You Like That sounds like it's slowly chugging along from one section to the next. While the buildup of tension in the verses aren't bad, they're quickly downplayed by these very underwhelming choruses. The chorus riff kind of sounds like a watered down version of the one from Kill This Love, and the heaviness of the drop that you're supposed to feel just isn't happening. It's more so kind of annoying. I will say that I do quite enjoy the post-chorus section where Jennie channels her inner Playboy Cardi with the line, "Look at you, now look at me." A clear message to all of the haters that said that BLACKPINK is just a fad, that they are here to stay, that they have earned their place among some of the most successful artists in the world. Because what gives anyone the right to criticize the work of someone that is popular? Look at you, now look at me. Look at you, now look at me. So what else have we got here? After the first chorus, we get a verse from Lisa that has this Middle Eastern vibe in the background, and her performance is pretty good in it. It has this nice upbeat energy to it. However, it's ultimately unfulfilled as that energy is almost instantly lost when we get to the pre-chorus. There's nothing wrong with having sudden dramatic changes, but the changes in How You Like That don't really feel all that dramatic. They kind of sound like they're just dropping whatever they were doing and then attempting to start something new, and the result is a track that accomplishes very little. One of How You Like That's biggest problems is that none of the sections really complement each other. It sounds like it's just wandering aimlessly from one section to the next. And the final 30 seconds of the track certainly do not help with this. As BLACKPINK chants "doon doon doon doo doo doon," I can't help but get the feeling that they're just clinging to something that's worked for them in the past, but this time around it's just not the same. Let's do some final thoughts. So maybe by the time this video comes out, we'll have another new BLACKPINK single, and then we have their album coming out in September, followed by a few solo releases from the members that aren't Jennie. As of now, I can't say that I have high hopes for any future releases from BLACKPINK. I used to have fun listening to their music, but now I can safely say that I'm over it. The problem with artists that rely solely on being controversial or provocative or silly or cute is that once you get underneath the surface, you discover that there isn't really much there, and you end up leaving them behind just as quickly as you embraced them. I was even expecting to be wowed by the video for How You Like That in the same way that all of their previous videos have done before, but even that was a little underwhelming. If How You Like That does anything, it validates my feelings that BLACKPINK is starting to fizzle out. Maybe they'll surprise me in the same way they did with Kill This Love and change things up just enough to keep it interesting, but it seems unlikely. I give How You Like That by BLACKPINK a 5.4 out of 10, and I'm sure that after hearing this track, their fans will agree that the project is starting to get stale and they'll no longer just buy into whatever. And there we go, those are my honest thoughts, feelings, and opinions on How You Like That by BLACKPINK. All right, don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you next time.